like anything you see, my dude? Maybe you will, maybe you won't, but I'm gonna go through all of them. Tier list formation. The best will end up on top and the worst on bottom. S is for super, and the rest are like grades in school. F is fail. So, barefoot shoes. It can be hard to find cool ones, but I have 100 pairs, so I will show you the best ones. I'm gonna go in order roughly of when I got them, oldest to newest. Took a long time to prepare this.
Whoa,
Here we go. So these are the first pair of minimal anything I got, the Shamma Sandals Cruiser. These were good enough that they got me to only want barefoot shoes basically ever again. I bought these and I never bought another pair of normal shoes or footwear. Also, I ran in them a lot, walked in them a lot, and they kind of shaped to my foot, which I liked for a while. Maybe got a little bit crazy toward the end. I don't know if you can tell how like concave they kind of are. I wanted a shoe that looked kind of like a flip-flop that was more secure on my foot with a heel strap, and it got the job done. This is also the cheapest Shamma sandal that you could get at the time. It was 60 bucks. Has a good place in my heart. I still wear them sometimes. So let's put these, I'm thinking A tier. I may adjust any of these later. I think there's gonna be a lot of A tiers potentially. Okay, number 2. Next, let's do the Xero Kelso. These were some of the first proper barefoot shoes I got. These are probably the barefoot shoes that can take the most beating that I've had. You can wear them for whatever. I wore them to a Death Grips concert. I wear them to do lawn work. That's basically their function now. They're just my absolute beater shoe, but they are not even close to wearing out. So these are very strong and they actually look pretty cool. You know, I didn't end up wearing them all the time because they're a little clunky. They're a little heavy. The outside isn't nearly as flexible, but there's a reason I haven't ever gotten rid of them. I think I would put these solidly in my B tier. Huh?
I'm shocked.
What?
What, the order?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
You never wear those black Shamma sandals, and I feel like you wear the beater ones all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of arbitrary. I originally had the white or like cream colored Wildling Tanuki shoes, but later I got the dark blue one, Tanuki Umi maybe. So this is an interesting one because over time, I have worn these more and more. These are some of the most striking and legitimately cool looking barefoot shoes that I've ever had or seen in like a very unique way, right? They're not trying to look like a normal shoe. They almost look like a sock. They just elicit a cool like sage kind of vibe. I've been wearing them as my gym shoes probably for like close to a year now, only for lifting. I'm not like running around in these or anything. Super duper flexible. They're always my example for like the most minimal shoe you can have. Toe box isn't the widest. It could be wider and I would probably prefer that, but this maintains kind of a cooler look. I like them a lot. So I'm gonna put these in A tier for now. We'll see if I end up having to adjust that.
I guessed F tier.
For?
The ones you just grabbed.
Oh yeah? Yeah, we'll see. And I made a video that these were the only barefoot shoes that you ever need. These were another early on experiment, Shamma Sandals Warrior. I think they were the Warrior LE. I was assuming these would be awesome because they're super, super thin and they also have the leather. I loved the leather on the Super Brown, which means I'm going out of order. And I was hoping this would be similar, but they're a lot more reddish. I think it's goatskin leather. Didn't love that. And then the contrast between the leather and the black strap, I don't like as much either compared to just full leather. The super thin outsole made it not conform to my feet as much as I was hoping it would. They're so thin, there's no structure for my feet to hold on to really. And for that reason, these are the ones that have disappointed me maybe the most. I feel so bad. I'm like friends with Shamma Sandals now. I'm gonna put them in F tier. So then, by comparison, here's the Shamma Sandals Super Browns. These ones I got just because they look cool. They didn't have as nice a tread on the outside, but I just love the dark brown leather look. And they've only gotten cooler over time. They get out with my footprint. I literally wore these constantly for years. They became the footwear that if I could avoid wearing shoes, I was wearing these, right? In my book, these are goated with the sauce. I literally love them so much. I know I'm gonna keep coming back to these and I probably will always want a Super Brown in my closet forever if these wear out. So these are a no-brainer for me. These are the original S tier barefoot shoe for me. Shamma Sandals Super Browns, let's go. S tier mode. Double dab. So many sandals in a row. Stick around for Cait's thoughts on her Super Browns. All right, then I moved to Michigan and I needed some boots. So I got the Lems Boulder boot, the acclaimed Boulder boot. Very impressively comfortable. Everyone will tell you that they're comfortable, but you don't really know until you wear them. They're very soft. They still have some give and flexibility to them, which is uncommon for boots. Toe box, pretty wide, but they look cool. I have gotten a lot of compliments on these and people have asked what they were, at least when I lived in Michigan. In Colorado, everybody knows what they are. My main gripe with them is the tread is terrible for ice and like winter, basically. You just gotta be super careful walking in these. You're better off wearing like hiking shoes with tread. Also shout out Injinji socks. These are great toe wool socks or cotton. So anyway, I have my gripes, but they're solid. They're pretty cool. Boots are a tough one when it comes to barefoot shoes. Yeah, they're pretty cool though. I don't know. I want to put these in maybe B tier. I could put them in C. Yeah, we'll see. Stick around for Cait's thoughts on her way better Boulder boots. Next up, last pair of sandals for a while. I think these are the Shamma sandals Maximus, a little bit thicker, has the cool Vibram outsole, and I was thinking that they could kind of replace the first one we looked at, just a better version of the Cruzers, basically, is what I was hoping for. However, tried them out for a while. They didn't conform to my feet as much. Maybe it's because I didn't run in them or wear them as long. The strapping system had a hard time staying in place. It would loosen as I wore them or whenever I put them on, and that was pretty annoying. They just didn't work out for me. Don't get me wrong. Still a solid sandal, just was not what I needed. So for me, these are gonna go into the F tier. Next, these are the Xero Prio Neo. I think these are pretty sweet. I made a whole video praising them. I actually at this point probably prefer the original Prio a little bit, especially now that they've updated some of the designs and colors on the website. Check it out. They got blue ones, they got gray ones, but these are still pretty sweet. I still wear them to the gym if it's gonna be a more hardcore leg day. I've run in them. They're kind of my current barefoot running shoe. And yeah, so they're cool. I don't know, just as far as a barefoot shoe goes, these are kind of right down the middle. You be the judge of how much you like them, but I made a whole video about them. Check it out. I would say these are pretty solidly, you know what? I wanna put them in the B tier. So how about this? I'm gonna move these down to C tier and maybe even the Boulder boot. And then we're putting the Xero Prio Neo in B tier. How you like them apples? All right, now check these out. This is the Origo Huarache Wide. This is a cinnamon color. I believe they also come in like a white and a lighter tan, but these are pretty awesome. I actually love these. I wore them a decent amount last summer to like church or nicer dinners. I think even a wedding, and I wore them a ton on our trip to Mexico. These are just great if you don't want to have to wear a real shoe, but you still want to look kind of nice. These are genuinely the bomb. Now, they're not good for everything. They're kind of like a dress shoe, not super active sandal, right? You know, they're obviously not built for running around or anything. For their purposes, I think these are really awesome. I've been meaning to make a video on them, but these are gonna be S tier for me as well. Next up. That's right, it's just you and me now. As of this very moment, we have 1,307 subscribers, and I want you to subscribe, please. And then we will have 1,308 subscribers. Wouldn't that be cool? What are these called? Drifter. Next up, the Lems Drifter. I got these because I was given a gift card for Lems. I figured I could just use a slip-on shoe to just throw on, go get the mail, take out the trash. I saw some pictures of guys wearing them, and the longer they wore them, the more beat up they got, the cooler I thought they looked. So I figured these would be another good kind of just throw on, walk out the door, beater shoe. And they've been just that. I wore them to do my laundry all the time. Really don't wear them out in public much. They aren't the most substantial shoe. They're a little clunky, funny feeling on the foot. The bottom's kind of heavy and then the upper's super light. Also same, super slippery, just not grippy outsole. This is basically made out of foam, I think. But they really are what I was looking for. I don't wear them that much. And honestly, on the coolness scale, I think I'm gonna put them in C tier. Next up, we got the Xero Dillon leather. These are pretty sweet. Xero sent me these to check them out and review them for their website. I was actually pretty impressed. They feel more well built than some of their other shoes. I was seeing some reviews where the paint gets scratched off on the bottom here, but for me they're pretty great for going out on a date or just looking a little bit nicer and still wanting a decently anatomical shoe. They're a little more substantial than like a Prio or a Wildling shoe or anything like that. But yeah, they feel pretty good. They're one of the only barefoot shoes that I actually wear the insole in them. For some reason, I just preferred that. And yeah, they just look pretty cool. And for a Xero shoe, they feel kind of heavy and built, which is cool. So I'm gonna put these in the A tier. And you know what? I'm gonna put the Cruzers in B. That's looking pretty good. All right, next up, we got the Lems Outlander. These are a newer model with the coyote color, and I really think these look cool. They just have this great utility kind of look. They're just one of the best looking barefoot boot or even shoe design that I've seen. The tread is good. They're not nearly as flexible or ground feely. They're pretty much no ground feel, but I end up reaching for these more than the Boulder boot just because of how cool I think they are. And they do feel pretty good still. They're still zero drop, toe box still pretty wide. And yeah, these just, for me, made me feel like I can take on the world. Wear these with some jeans, kind of levels up the outfit, right? These, I think are dope. I'm putting these in A tier. Maybe it's just me, but it's my video, dude. Next up, and my last pair of sandals is the Shamma Sandals Pacific Avenue. These are a pretty much brand new model of their sandals, and I think they are just so cool. They've got the Vibram outsole that I love. They come in this really sweet light tan color. I'm a sucker for the dark brown, but the tan is fresh. Feels very summery, beachy. I think they're wearing in pretty cool, and they have an improved strapping system that I really like. They're super comfortable. They're the easiest to wear of any Shamma sandal. The back stays up versus like, whoops, the Super Browns, where they have one side of the shoe that doesn't have this thing. So these just kind of maintain their ankle locking system in a better way, and there's no buckle on the front to worry about. I could talk about them for a long time. I made a whole video about them, check it out. But these are my new like go-to sandal, and these are going straight up in S tier with the Super Browns. Another honorable mention I want to talk about, maybe not so honorable, I don't even have it anymore because it's going in F tier, is the Lenka Barebarics Zing. I thought it looked really cool, but when I got them, I just didn't like how they felt. I just never ended up wearing them. It just didn't work for me, you know? And I get that some people will like them, but for me, that was my biggest failure of any barefoot shoes I've ever bought. I just shouldn't have got them, basically. So, Barebarics Zing. I made a whole video about it if you want to see that. But these are going in F tier. Can't even really see it, but oh well. We're getting there, baby. A couple more. Next up, the brand new Xero Wynn sneaker. These are pretty cool. I just made a video about these, so I'll link that as well. I really like this style. It's pretty unique. I don't have a whole lot of color in my barefoot shoes, but this is a great addition. They look good with pants or shorts. They're just a really great all-around sneaker that doesn't scream barefoot shoe. You know, granted, not the widest toe box, kind of like the Wildling Tanuki, but for me, very much so cool. I think I'm gonna wear these a decent amount, and they might end up making my Prio Neo all but, not irrelevant, replaced. I can't think of the right word. I want to throw these up with A tier. Can you see them? Yeah, you can see them. All right, and my most recent purchase, the Ultra Lone Peak. These are not exactly barefoot shoes, but they're not too different from like the Lems Outlander in that they have tread, they have a little more cushion. They're still, yeah, they're not really flexible. They still have a wide toe box. They still are zero drop. So in that ways, they are kind of anatomical for your feet, but yeah, they're a little unique in that way. They're made for hiking and like trail running and stuff like that. Made a whole video about them. I think I keep pointing to the wrong side. I think they're actually over there. These are a good in-between between barefoot shoes and like a more typical mainstream shoe. Honestly, I don't know how much I'm gonna be reaching for them just because I like the lightweightness and the flexibility and freedom. of a less substantial barefoot shoe. But if I'm going on a really legit hike that I know I'm gonna need good tread for, I will grab these. They're not like my favorite ever, but it's been an interesting experiment and I will get use out of them. I think I'm gonna put these, I don't really think I wanna put them in the B tier. I think I'll throw them in with the C tiers. How about this? I'll put the Boulder boot in B tier, and then the C tier makes sense to have the Kelso, the Drifter, and the Lone Peaks in, just because all of these shoes I'm keeping around just because they have a strong and specific purpose. Lawn work, slip-on, and like heavy-duty hiking. That makes sense to me. And the Boulder boots are pretty cool. So there we go. That's a pretty good distribution, I must say. I gotta get Cait over here. How do you feel about these rankings? I moved them around a little bit.
I mean, I feel like you do kind of rank them in like how often you wear them. Yeah, it's interesting that there's like no sneaker in the S category though.
Yeah.
You're
that
just
may
like,
say more about me. It's
I
just
think it does. So I have barefoot shoes too. This is the first pair. They're Super Browns that Lucas bought for me, and I've had them for over a year now. They are a really good like introduction shoe to barefoot shoes. I was a huge fan of like Birkenstocks, and I'd had those for like years and years, and I swore I would never get rid of them. And as soon as I got this shoe, I immediately stopped wearing my Birkenstocks. So that does say a lot about how nice these shoes are. I really like the leather. The straps did bug me for a while, and I would always be shifting and trying to move them back, and then the heel strap would always fall off of my foot. I feel like Lucas's, like he didn't have that issue. But yeah, I feel like that's enough tidbit for that. So yeah, I feel like I can't put them in the S tier just because this shoe has been more problematic for me than it has for you. But they did completely obsolete my Birkenstocks. So I feel like for that reason, they're strongly in the A category. I'm gonna put them right there. Can you tell that they're there? Okay, so then the next shoe that I got were these Atlantis shoes. They are handmade in Turkey, so they have a nice like hand sewn edge. It also has a piece of copper, the grounding feel, yeah, for the charge or whatever. So I got these when I was working in an office setting, and I just wanted like a good flat work shoe that wouldn't be annoying. I feel like the other work shoes that I had, they were always uncomfortable, and I just didn't want to walk around. I was in like stilettos, so just having a comfortable shoe that actually looked professional was important to me. The string, it is fraying here, so like that annoys me now. One thing I don't like is that copper. It feels like there's like something in your shoe. Same goes for this string that's all around the base. It does mess with my big toe, so that feels kind of uncomfortable. I have noticed if I've been walking around on it all day, it oxidizes or whatever on my skin, and I'll have literally like a big green dot on my foot. I mean, they're still a cute shoe and I still tend to wear them a lot, but it leaves me wanting more. Super Browns, if they're in the A category, I feel like these are strongly in the B category.
They're pretty cool. For just needing a nicer shoe that is also kind of barefoot.
It is a cool shoe. They look less stupid than other dressy barefoot shoes. Okay, so then I got these next. These are the Xero Prio Suedes. Thank you. I got these because it came in this like really light gray kind of color. So this is the one that I went with. As far as like looks go and everything with the outfits I tend to wear, these are the shoes that I tend to gravitate towards the most. So I probably get the most wear out of these. But as far as sneakers go, you know, I think this is probably all I could ask for. I like the way that the shoe is designed. I like the colors. I wear them all the time. They're kind of goated. They may be S tier. Whoa! One sneaker has made it in. Okay, so then these are the Boulder Boot Grip Waterproof. Yeah, you wanna see the tread on these? Tread on these bad boys. There's rocks stuck in the exact same spot on the heel. That's kind of weird. I love these boots. Lucas convinced me to try them out a year ago. And up until that point, I feel like I had the $15 winter boots you get at like Walmart. So this is like my first like real like nice pair of like winter boots. I was impressed by how warm it kept my feet without being like overly warm. The wide toe box is really nice, super comfortable. It's not too clunky or it's not like an ugly boot. It doesn't like ruin whatever outfit that I'm wearing for the most part, whereas the Walmart ones did. These hooks up here too are actually really nice. It's really easy to slip them on. The tread is great. I feel like I don't slip at all when Lucas does in his Boulder boots. It's like, I feel like this is like the best winter boot. I don't think I have no desire to get a new winter boot.
And they do look cute on you, right? Like,
yeah.
Like they look good.
One thing with these shoelaces are like so thick. I always have to double knot.
Yeah, the Lems laces do not stay tied for crap.
No.
Like,
they move like butter and just like slip out. And it feels a little silly to put them in the S category, but I'm totally gonna do that. As far as the utility purpose, the look overall, and the quality of the shoe, I have like zero qualms.
I didn't realize how much you really love those.
Yeah. I feel like I have not emphasized enough how ugly my boots have been up to this point.
So here they are. Here's a bunch of barefoot shoes ranked by a normal guy who just wears shoes based on how much he likes them, how cool he thinks they are. If you want to analyze kind of what shoes ended up in each different tier, I would say S tier is pretty much the shoes that I will always pick if I can wear them. A tier is just like the standards, the best kind of just shoes that I need all the time. B tier is kind of the backups. They might have alternatives, but they're pretty good. C tier, I really just keep around because they have some purpose that I like. And F tier is shoes that I probably just shouldn't have bought in the first place. I didn't need them, or they just didn't work out. So here's a little recap of that if you are curious.
F tier is still pretty good. I'm not ranking this on a scale of how bad a shoe could possibly be and how good it could be. Of all my shoes, maybe the worst one is F. The best ones are S, right? So yeah, if they're here, they're pretty good. I also have videos featuring a lot of these shoes. I'll link them all in the description. Do you have any of these shoes? Do you disagree with my rankings? Leave a comment, let me know. Let other people know. Heck yeah. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, whatever you want to do. I'm gonna keep making stuff like this. So if you like it, good job, camera. That was a lot of fun.